The 3-year-old Fintech BharatPe has entered the coveted unicorn club with a valuation of $2.85 billion. BharatPe's valuation has trebled after it got financing in a round led by the mighty Tiger Global. Joining us live is the co-founder and now also the managing director, Ashneer Grover. Ashneer, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Congratulations. A milestone. I know a lot of you founders like to dismiss it as not being a very big one. But 3 years ago, when you started BharatPe, did you think in such little time you would be valued at nearly $3 billion?
Thanks, Nayantara. Very frankly, I don't think too much about valuations. To me, it's a derivative number. You raise money, there's a certain dilution to it, and therefore the valuation number is always an imputed number, right? Our focus has always been in creating value for the small merchants. As long as we are doing that and our business numbers are growing and we are getting the love from the merchants for whom we are doing everything, we are absolutely grateful for that. So not too much of celebratory mood on this number. We have had our celebrations on the month-end numbers, which is what we really need to celebrate.
That's something else that we've seen at startups, when even the days of Zomato got listed, the word on the street was that Dipinder Goyal announced within an hour, back to work ASAP. But Ashneer, you said you don't look too much at it. It is derivatives. Now, we are also in a regime of excessive liquidity. There's a lot of liquidity that's floating around. And I ask this for all the founders who are coming after large rounds and getting, valuations growing multiple times. Has BharatPe's business and growth trebled to command the $2.85 billion valuation now?
Absolutely. I think if you look at our operating numbers, what they were back when we did our Series D and what the numbers have been in the last 6 months, there's been a tremendous growth in those numbers. And I'm even keeping the external factors aside. For example, getting an in-principle approval for getting the SFB up and running. That's a separate thing. We have also acquired Payback, which is a separate thing. But if I look at our core numbers itself, in the last 2 months itself, we have seen 30% growth month on month in each of the last 2 months. And the reason for that is pretty simple. If you look at the UPI numbers, because of the lockdown, the numbers are going up again, right? And anyone who has followed us would realize we delivered 6x growth in last 1 year. So if that is any trend, the next 12 months could be another 6x or 5x from here.
Okay, so you have registered 6x growth in the last 1 year. Let's go one by one with all the things that you've spoken about. I'll begin with the small payments bank. Ashneer, I know today is a day to talk about funding and the future plans, but BharatPe along with Centrum is going to be taking over the distressed PMC Bank. How will the $375 million check help towards that banking foray and ambition?
I'm not allowed to speak on the banking bit as of now. So maybe in the next show or at sometime later in the future. Today, let's focus on our business and the fundraise.
Okay, I take that point, and I understand that there would be regulatory pressures as well to not speak about the plan going forward. But actually, something else that we saw, and you took a lead on that, which is to hire talent from old legacy IT companies which are suffering from high attrition anyway, where we have seen BharatPe and a post by you personally on LinkedIn talking about, BMW superbikes, Apple gadgets, Dyson air purifiers, cricket matches in Dubai. Has it helped?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm now better known as the BMW guy, right? More than the BharatPe founder. But I think what I realized was, and you have to be always ahead of the market, is that all the money flowing in will eventually lead to inflation, right? And the one place where you have a bottleneck in supply is quality engineering talent, right? So I realized this very early when I was in the US earlier this year, and I could see the founders there struggling to attract good engineering talent at whatever price. So when I came back, one thing I was very clear about is that we have to take the lead and we have to get good talent in. Interestingly, we put out that post on the BMW bikes. 6 lakh engineers, right, visited our website after going through all the hoops, because there was a lot of quizzes and things built into the application process itself. We have 25,000 quality engineering leads with us. Now, I was joking with my team, if I were to start an IT outsourcing company or an engineering outsourcing company, I'll probably end up making another unicorn out of it. But yeah, we are getting extremely good talent, and it's just the validation that we're on the right path.
You had 6 lakh engineers visit the site. You have 25,000 solid leads for good engineers. You were even joking about how you can do an IT outsourcing one. But Ashni, how many of them are actually going to get jobs at BharatPe?
So we're very clear that just because we've got capital, we don't want to just go about and hire anyone and everyone. On our engineering side, there are 100 positions open, and those 100 positions remain the 100 positions. So yeah, it's a whatever, like 4% conversion rate that people are going to work with.
Okay, so that 100 engineers that you're wanting to go up for, that's not going to go up. But Ashni, can you tell us a little bit, and you and I have spoken about this in the past, where you disrupted the small merchant space with that uniform QR code, all of that. You've always said you can have to have it zero charge. But you have also have ambitions of being a full-fledged fintech player. Buy now, pay later has indeed become a buzzword. Where does BharatPe stand on that?
We are like very well positioned on that. In fact, that's the next product coming out of our kitty. That will be the first consumer product to come out of BharatPe. See, at the core of it, we would love to do anything which is lending, right? And BNPL is pure lending. I think the added advantage we have today is we have a network of 7 million merchants or touch points where the consumer can buy stuff using our BNPL product. And in addition to this, he can buy stuff online and he can buy stuff at any POS device, right? So I think being the largest player on the QR side gives us a natural advantage to become the leader on BNPL as well. And that therefore, that is the next logical product that's going to come out from BharatPe.
You have spoken in the past about how the credit card could become defunct the way we know about it, and this is the future. But so far, it hasn't picked up. Everyone's talking about lending on UPI, but it hasn't happened. Why is that the case? And do you think you'll be able to take a lead on that?
See, I think for anything to become mainstream, the bigger players have to take a lead in driving the category, right? If you actually look at BNPL as a category, neither has Google Pay nor Phone Pay nor Paytm really taken a lead, right? And I'm actually pretty surprised on that. So maybe it has to do with the fact that it's got an element of lending and therefore an inherent element of risk. And a lot of these players want to play the de-risked game of payments. We've been very clear there's no money in payments, right? So for us, taking risk on lending is part of the business. And therefore, doing BNPL is maybe our chance to capture a market which these guys should have captured in any case.
And we're talking the same week where we've seen the NPCI come out with the e-rupee. BharatPe is, of course, a partner in that. How big a game changer, if it is a game changer at all, is it?
Yeah, I think we are very honored to be part of that program. I think it's a function of the use case, right? If there's the right use case and it can become a daily use case, then it will become big. In any case, it's a good use case in terms of a direct benefit transfer, right? So if you want someone to do a certain activity and get a benefit of it instantly, I think it's a great use case for direct benefit transfer, and therefore it has potential to become huge.
Okay. Now, the other thing I want to ask you about is you were right here on StartUpCentral talking about making a personal pledge to invest in tech IPOs, that you did it for Zomato. Did you get the allotment, by the way?
Oh yeah, I got a decent allotment.
And you're going to continue with that pledge? Since then, we've seen Policy Bazaar, Paytm, Nykaa, all of them file the DRHPs.
Yeah, so I think investing in IPOs is a personal passion of mine, not anything to do with what I'm doing at BharatPe. But I think a lot of them, especially if they're duopolies or monopolies in the true sense, have a lot of potential in the next 10 years. And if the pricing is right and liquidity does not take the pricing away, very happy to participate.
And what about BharatPe's IPO ambitions?
So Nayantara are very clear on that. Next 4 years, nothing, right? Absolutely nothing. We're not going to come out with an IPO in the next 4 years. A lot of people think, oh, we have raised a big round, so the natural next thing would be to do an IPO. I think the natural next big thing for us to do is not talk about fundraisers, not talk about our liability side at all, right? It's all about saying we have enough capital. Let's get down to business and build something strong here. And I think my personal aspiration is to do an IPO in 2025, right? So I'll let this cycle go of IPOs. Maybe the next cycle is when we'll come in.
Not an IPO before 2025. Actually, as I wind down this interview, you said it's not a milestone. You look at valuations, fundraisers as derivatives. But when you look back at the last 3 years, right now it all looks high, it all looks good, like everything has worked according to plan. But there must have been hiccups. There must have been times when it looked like a near-death-like situation. Do you want to share the hard times with us? Because that can sometimes, act as a motivation for struggling entrepreneurs.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to romanticize, from what depths we have come to here. But yeah, it was hard, just to put things in context. My first round, the seed round, right? It took me 6 months to close the seed round. And the friends and family round I did before that, I wanted to raise 2 crore rupees at a valuation of 18 crores pre-money. And I could only manage 1.92 crores, right? And that was also because I felt I didn't want to go beyond 2 crores because I didn't have a property to sell and make good the investors just in case I lost their money. So that's how small we started 3 years back. Now, if you look at these numbers, then they look very surreal. And that's the whole point, right? I don't want to want any of these numbers to get in anyone's head, including our team. I think our task is cut out. We've been given a great opportunity with $500 million in bank to build something meaningful. So the ball is in our court. No time for romanticizing from where we've got to where. It's all about what we can build from here on.
Okay. And with that, Ashneer, I'd like to thank you for joining us on today's edition of Startup Central and being live on ET Now. I know you said it's just part of business, but still, you are part of the Unicorn Club, nearly $3 billion valuation. Congratulations again.
Thanks.